بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters, and welcome to tonight's reminder. Inshallah, we'll be discussing laziness, its causes and its cure, or some of the cures for laziness. And we're mainly discussing the advice from the works of Ibn al-Jawzi rahimahullah. Ibn al-Jawzi is one of the great scholars, especially when it comes to reminders, heart softeners, mawa'idh, admonishments, and he has plenty of works which are recommended to read, especially when reminders are required and heart softeners and the like. He had a chapter in one of his books called Avoiding Laziness. Avoiding Laziness. Before we read it and discuss it, what is laziness? And what is laziness in Arabic? And is laziness mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah? First of all, what's laziness? Generally, when we use the word, this person is lazy, we got to keep away from laziness, what do we mean? Generally. Someone's lazy, what is he generally doing? Sitting, doing nothing, not working, inactive, unwillingness to work. He's 30 years old, unemployed. Not because there's no work out, he doesn't want to work. Pray, I can't, I'm feeling tired. Come to the masjid, no, I can't, I'm too tired. It's like he's the only one in the world working. If he is working, but lazy for ibadah. Because some people, sadly, as we're going to discuss, they may be enthusiastic for dunya, money, wealth, but when it comes to ibadah, the akhirah, they are the laziest of people. And that's because their priorities, for lack of a better term, are stuffed up. They're not where they should be. They don't know the true purpose of their life. So laziness, if you look in the dictionary, they'll give you some terms or some similar meanings. Unwillingness to work or to be active. And what's laziness in Arabic? Kasal? Kaslan? Kasala? Kaf sin lam? Someone, this is lazy or laziness. And some have defined it to mean a lack of energy and enthusiasm. And doing something, lacking energy and enthusiasm of doing something that you should not lack energy. For example, prayer. Pray, you should have energy to pray. Also, work or to study something that is beneficial to you. If you don't do this stuff, then you are lazy. You are lazy. So, the Shaykh here, he is speaking about averting or avoiding laziness. So, laziness is to be slow or inactive or unwilling to work and strive and struggle or put in any effort. Now, we asked before, is laziness mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah? Yes. It is mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah. In the Quran a few times and in the Sunnah. Prophet ﷺ made dua against laziness. So where is it mentioned in the Quran? In the Quran it's mentioned describing who? The munafiqeen and the prayer. When they come to the prayer. What does Allah say? إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهَ وَهُوَ خَادِعُهُمْ وَإِذَا قَامُوا إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ قَامُوا كُسَالَى يُرَاءُونَ النَّاسَ وَلَا يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Verily the hypocrites, they seek to deceive Allah, but it is He who deceives them. And when they stand up for salat, when they stand up for prayer, they stand with laziness, and what else? And to be seen of men, to show off. And they do not remember Allah but little. Also, in Surah At-Tawbah, Allah mentions also the hypocrites, and nothing prevents their contribution from being accepted from them except that they disbelieve in Allah and His Messenger. And what else did He say about them? وَلَا يَأْتُونَ الصَّلَاةَ إِلَّا وَهُمْ كُسَالَى وَلَا يُنْفِقُونَ إِلَّا وَهُمْ كَارِهُونَ. And they come not to as-salat, the prayer, except in a lazy state. And that they offer not contributions, but unwillingly, hating. They give it, but they don't really want to give it. They hate to give. And in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, laziness is mentioned as well a few times. One hadith mentioned in Bukhari, and this is a very important hadith that needs a whole lesson itself. Prophet ﷺ, he said, Shaitan puts 3 knots at the back of your head, at the back of the head of any of you, when he sleeps, if he is asleep. On every knot, he reads and exhales the following words. Shaitan says, the night is long, the sleeping person, so stay asleep. When one wakes up and remembers Allah, 1 knot is undone. And when one performs ablution, wudu, the 2nd knot is undone. And when one prays, the 3rd knot is undone. And when one gets up energetic, with a good heart in the morning, and when one gets up after doing this stuff, doing what is mentioned in the hadith, he gets up energetic with a good heart in the morning. Otherwise, one gets up lazy and with a mischievous heart. So this is how we start our day is very important. That's why we should always start our day in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't get up just for work or to get our kids up for school. We get up to remember Allah. We get up and make wudu. We get up and pray. We try to come to the masajid and pray fajr. If you do so, and we all have witnessed it, what do you feel like? You feel energetic and you want to do good. But if not, the opposite. You get up feeling lazy, lethargic, and the heart is shaky and mischievous. So, if you look at the ayat we just recited and the hadith we mentioned, what's it all got to do with? What did we speak about last week? The importance of prayer. What's all this? The ayat was speaking about the munafiqeen and prayer. The hadith was mentioning getting up in the morning and prayer. So if you look at the above, you see that laziness and prayer. If someone is energetic in his prayer, he's motivated to pray, it shows that he's going to be energetic, enthusiastic in the rest of his actions. And the opposite. If someone is lazy in his prayer or does not pray altogether, then the rest of his actions will generally be the same. Subhanallah al-Azim. The prayer. After Tawheed is the most important thing. So prayer affects all your life. And as we know, the Prophet ﷺ said in Muslim, the strong believer is better and more beloved to Allah than the weak believer. Although both are good, strive to do that which will benefit you and seek the help of Allah and do not feel helpless. If anything befalls you, do not say, if only I had done such and such. The such and such would have happened. Rather say, Allah has decreed, and what He wills, He does. For if only opens the door of the work of shaitan. Okay. Now, this great hadith, if we think about it, it talks about the difference between the strong believer and the weak believer. Now, let's start what we wanted to really begin tonight, and that is the reminder of Ibn al-Jawzi regarding averting laziness. He says, rahimahullah, loving leisure, ease and pretty much wasting time, preferring inaction, and the perceived difficulty of tasks are what led one to laziness. Bukhari and Muslim, they reported from Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu, the Prophet ﷺ used to frequently say, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazn wal-hazni wal-ajzi wal-kasal. Prophet ﷺ used to seek refuge. He said, I seek refuge in Allah from grief, distress, inability, and laziness. So immediately we know that the Prophet ﷺ used to seek refuge with Allah from laziness, which shows that laziness is something which is dispraised and a believer should keep far away from it. Also, the hadith we mentioned, a strong believer is better and more beloved. The hadith, if you found in Sahih Muslim, that the Prophet ﷺ said, a strong believer is better and more beloved to Allah than a weak believer. المؤمن القوي خير وأحب إلى الله من المؤمن الضعيف. At all times, strive for that which will benefit you. Seek the help of Allah and do not be helpless. If anything bad befalls you, do not say, if only I had done such and such, then such and such would have happened. Rather, you should say, قدر الله وما شاء فعل. Allah has preordained this, and whatever He wills, He does. For the words if only open the door of the shaitan, as we have mentioned. Now, there are many reminders from the Sahaba, from the Salaf about laziness and its evil and how it affects a person. Now, laziness can affect the community, it can affect the family, it can affect the individual. So all these should be avoided. So let's read some of the reminders that Ibn Jawzi mentions. He said, Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he said, I detest a man, I dislike a man whom I see doing nothing, idle, from striving for this world and the hereafter. He also said, at the end of time, there will be people whose best actions will be blaming each other, also known as the lazy ones. There are people who all they do today is blame others. They don't do nothing. So for example, they'll sit down, and I've witnessed this with my own eyes. They'll sit down and they'll just talk about others. This person did this wrong, this person did that wrong. And you know what? They don't do anything. They're lazy. In dunya and in akhirah. And what greater loss is that? That person is not even striving for this world or the next world. He's just sitting doing nothing. And in a statement which really needs some pondering over, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he said, slackening married laziness and gave birth to poverty. Slackening married laziness and they gave birth to poverty. If someone slackens and is lazy, what would it bring him? Poverty. Not having. And this is not praiseworthy in Islam. A Muslim in deen and dunya should work hard to the best of his ability. Seek halal sustenance and Allah will provide for him. But to sit back and do nothing, then this is not right. This is not right. Malik bin Dinar, rahimahullah, he said, there is no righteous deed except that there is an obstacle that comes before it. If a person endures it, puts up with it, patiently, he will reach comfort. And if he fears it, he will abstain from it. And Sufyan al-Thawri, rahimahullah, he said, people left riding fast horses and we have stayed on lazy, slow camels. So this is just a bit about laziness and the harm of laziness. Laziness will affect you in this world and the hereafter. Whether in work, study something which will benefit you, and especially for the akhirah. When someone is lazy in his prayer, for example, lazy in learning that which will make his aqeedah correct, his belief correct, his tawheed, his beliefs, his actions correct, his prayer correct, his hajj correct, his fasting correct. This is all dispraised and disencouraged. We have to learn, we have to study, we have to learn about Allah, we have to put in effort. Now, someone may ask, what is the cure then? How do we fix this? Ibn Jawzi, he mentions, and we have some extra information as well, but we'll mention what Ibn Jawzi mentioned regarding this so we can finish off his reminder. He said, rahimahullah, the cure for laziness lies in motivating and urging the endeavor by fearing that one may miss the goal or be blamed or fall into regret, lest one does not make an effort. For the regret of a negligent person when he sees the reward of a hard worker is the greatest punishment. Also, a person of sound mind should reflect on the negative consequence of laziness, for many a time has leisure led to regret. So free time and rest and wasting time leads to regret. And he continues to say, rahimahullah, whoever sees that his neighbor has traveled, returning with profits, his regret will be many times greater than the satisfaction of leisure, wasting time, sitting idle, doing nothing. Similarly, if one person becomes brilliant in knowledge and another does not due to laziness, the intended purpose of these examples is to explain the pain of missing something exceeds the satisfaction of laziness. So this is the first encouragement the Shaykh is giving. And he summarized it beautifully there at the end. The pain of missing something exceeds the satisfaction of laziness. So if someone sits back and does nothing, his neighbor goes out and works for a halal earning, he comes back with profits. A lazy student of knowledge, or someone who says he's a student of knowledge but does nothing, doesn't put in any effort, and his friend goes and seeks and puts in the effort, he's going to see this, he has progress while he has progress nowhere. So then that will cause him regret and that will cause him pain. Now, the Shaykh continues to say, wise people are unanimous that wisdom is not reached by relaxation and inaction. Therefore, whoever knows the fruits of laziness will avoid it. And whoever is aware of the fruits of hard work will endure the hardships of the path. Moreover, a smart person knows that he was not created in vain. Rather, in this world, he is like a hired laborer or a merchant. So he has to know the purpose of his life, and that is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's not here for no purpose. And this is very important to remember. We are here to worship Allah alone subhanahu wa ta'ala. And everything we do must be in accordance, must conform to this purpose. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, Allah tells us. I've not created man, I've not created jinn or man, except for the sole purpose of worshipping me, worshipping Allah alone subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Shaykh continues to say, the span of a lifetime in this world, which is practically the life one is given to perform good deeds, and the span of time one is to spend in the grave, is like a single moment compared to the eternal dwelling in paradise or in the hellfire. So if you think about it, this world would be just like a passing moment. And even the Shaykh is saying, even in the grave, compared to what? Jannah or An-Nar, paradise or hell, which both are eternal. So think about it, it's only a passing moment. Make this moment obedience. As has been mentioned in the popular saying, famous saying, this world is a moment, so make it a moment of obedience. Some have attributed this statement to Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah. This world is a moment, so make it a moment of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's try to finish off what the Shaykh put here. From amongst the best cures for laziness is reading and reflecting on the biographies of those who strove. Therefore, I wonder at he who would prefer laziness in the snowing season and leaves yielding for the harvesting season. He says one of the best ways here in keeping away from laziness, one of the best cures is to read about those who strove. And the best people to read about are the prophets and messengers, followed by the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. The Sahaba, the Salaf, the students of the Sahaba, the Tabi'een and their students, and the ulama who followed their path in righteousness. Read about their biographies. Read how they strove, read how they struggled, so you can aim to be like them. And finally he says, it was narrated that Faraq had said, you put on the garment of leisure before you started working. Have you not noticed that when a worker starts working, he wears his cheapest garment. When he is done, he takes a shower and puts on 2 clean garments. On the other hand, you wore the garment of leisure before you even started working. This is an issue. So we have to work, strive, and relaxation will come. And when is true relaxation, my dear brothers and sisters? Is it in this world? It's not. True and complete relaxation is in the next life. And we mentioned this statement many times, that the son of Imam Ahmad, he asked his father, Mata raha, when is the relaxation? When can I, as we say, sit back and kick back and relax? What did Imam Ahmad say? After your first step in Jannah. So this life is a life of effort, a life of struggle, a life to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to put as much rewards in your account as you can, not to sit back and do nothing. Others as well have advised other advice regarding how to avoid laziness. And I'll mention a few very quickly. Firstly, turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and seeking protection from being lazy. And the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he saw refuge from being lazy. So we should always repeat that dua, the dua of the Prophet ﷺ. Make dua. So when you're feeling lazy, make this dua. Do this dua as much as you can. Also seeking help with patience on salah. As we know, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. Seek help through your patience and your salah. And this is what we should be doing constantly. Start your day with fajr. Make sure your prayers are all on time. Build everything around your prayer. When you start your day with fajr, that's the energy boost that you need and require. And make sure, as this advice mentions, you stop throughout the day to re-energize. And what do we mean here? Your prayers. Re-energize through your prayers. Make wudu. Perfect your wudu as best as you can. Pray in the masjid if you can. And this will give you the required energy. And also in the prayer, remember Allah properly. Have khushu' and continue to supplicate to Allah to keep you remembering Him. And generally, we should keep remembering Allah as much as we can. So that remembering Allah after the prayer, remembering Allah throughout the day, doing adhkar, doing tasbih, reading the Quran, and likewise, so on and so forth. Attending halaqat of knowledge, attending the masjid regularly, being around a good crowd, and so on and so forth, which we may mention later on. And Imam Ibn al-Qayyim, he said about remembering Allah in general, it has a powerful effect on difficult tasks and being able to bear difficult assignments. Also, we should have high goals and aspirations. Have ulu al-himma. Have high aspirations. Every Muslim should have goals. Greater goals and smaller goals. Your greatest goal is to please Allah, to enter al-Firdaus, Jannah. So you should do everything that's going to get you there. So even if you have to go home and write your goals down, write them down. Write them down. 5 prayers, I'm going to try to pray them in the masjid. I'm going to read a bit of Quran every day. I'm going to read a seerah about the Prophet ﷺ, and so on and so forth. Set goals. Have aspirations. Have high goals. And work towards those goals so you won't feel lazy. Every Muslim should have goals. Also, we mentioned before, read the biographies of great men, the prophets, messengers, the stories mentioned in the Quran about the pious individuals like Luqman, Dhul Qarnayn, and others like them. The Sahaba, the Tabi'een, the great ulama of our times and of previous times. Read about their lives to be motivated and to strive to be like them. Also, spend time with those who are like-minded, who have high goals, who are good Muslims, who want to bring you closer to Allah, not take you further away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, feel responsible. Have this responsibility. Have this feeling that you are responsible as a Muslim. You're a Muslim, part of the greater Muslim nation. You are responsible. You're not just anybody. Every single one of us have a role to play in rectifying this ummah. We are one ummah. The stronger we are collectively as individuals, we'll be stronger as collectively. And when we are weak individually, we're going to contribute to being weak collectively as a ummah. So every single one of us have a role to play. Have a role to play at home, have a role to play in our workplace, in the masjid, in our community at large. And also, my dear brothers, we have to know that laziness spreads. So if you're lazy in your home, who are you going to affect? Your family, your children. So you tell your son, for example, make sure you get up and pray Fajr. He gets up to pray Fajr. Where's his dad? Fast asleep. Son, get up and pray Fajr in the masjid. Gets up. His dad's fast asleep. So you have to be a good role model. The mother wants her daughter to wear hijab. She doesn't wear hijab. The parents want their kids to read Quran. They don't read Quran. The parents want their kids to have good manners and stop swearing. Every second word they say is a swear word. So we have to be a positive example. Be energetic, enthusiastic, and this will spread to our children. So we have a responsibility to be energetic, have high aspirations, so our children can take our lead, take our example. Also your body. Your body has a right over you. Because sometimes you may want to do good, but you can't physically because you're not looking after your body. You're eating bad, you're not healthy, you're not fit. Your body has a right over you, so you should look after your body. Try to be fit, try to walk, try to be active. Collectively, we should all do this. Our bodies have a right over us. Our bodies, Allah gave them to us. We should look after them. Just like as we get a car, generally we should look after the car, get it tuned up, we give it good petrol. If you give it bad petrol, what's going to happen? It won't work. You get it serviced regularly, and so on and so forth. Our bodies have a right over us. So be active, and this will help you, inshallah, be more energetic, and try not to have any spare time to get up to no good. Because spare time is like a sword. If you don't use it wisely, what's it going to do? A sharp knife. It's going to harm you. It's going to harm you. And what has ruined many people is spare time, free time. This time that you have, do something beneficial. For example, you have 2 days off a week. Fill it up with all good deeds. Visiting your parents for the sake of Allah. Taking your children out for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your wife. Doing something beneficial. Remembering Allah. Don't have no free time. Map your day out. So you can benefit, inshaAllah ta'ala. So don't sit back and do nothing. Don't sit bored and do nothing. Because this will allow the shaitan to enter and to whisper to you, and then more than likely you will get up to no good, and your laziness will increase, and even worse, not only will you be lazy, you will fall into haram. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect our hearts from laziness and make us energetic for His cause and in His way, worshipping Him until the day we meet Him. Wallahu a'lam, wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله كم تستطب القروح ويبرأ جروح الكثير الجريح وينشط ذاك السقيم العليل وقد كان بالسقم دهرا طريق.